Good evening, everyone. We at Exo Clan believe that the inclusion and increased involvement of women in the largely male dominated field of technology is essential for the development of the field as a whole. Keeping in mind our aim to encourage a greater number of women and other minority genders to indulge in the field, we're organizing an intra school Girls in Tech series. This will include a variety of comprehensive and interactive beginner level workshops covering many fields within tech in an effort to reach out to girls and pique their interest in technology and innovation, as well as help develop skills. As part of the initiative, we're also hosting a talk series called Beyond the Bits, featuring a variety of women and non binary people in STEM. For the second Beyond the Bits talk, we have Priyanshi Ahuja with us. She is an alumni of DPS Archipuram, who is a former head girl and chief advisor of Exim Plan. Priyanshi will be talking about the multiple ways to experience and create technology, and she will talk about the inclusivity, people, and problems that intersect to form the forefront of ideas.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. Can I start sharing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I'm trying to think. While I get that done, hi everyone, I'm Priyanshi. As Navya mentioned, I'm an alumni of DPS Archipuram. I graduated class of 2021 and I am currently at Duke University. I will be going into my second year and I will introduce myself more as soon as I figure out how to get this slideshow going. Okay. Um, can everyone see my slides? Okay, I think. Okay. Um, Hi, I'm Priyanshi. I graduated 2021. I was the Exim Clan Chief Advisor and Head Girl. I used to be involved with Girls in Tech group discussion and space tech. I'm currently at Duke. I'm going into my second year, and I am interning this summer in Seattle, actually. And I'm studying computer science, but along with computer science, I'm interested in decision sciences, philosophy, finance, all those sort of things. So I'm experimenting with those right now as well to figure out how I can create the experience best suited for me, not only in terms of being able to set myself up professionally, but also in terms of what speaks to me and what makes me want to solve these problems in tech. I am a big advocate for inclusivity in tech. I think that it's one of the most important things ever, being able to create equal space on the table for all sorts of people so that everyone has a say in the decisions we make, especially at a time when our economy is changing and our entire world is changing. I think it's just so important to have um, that space and that scope for everyone to have a say. Because if that doesn't happen, then how do we know that the world that we're building is going to have a space for everyone? And I also had a very unconventional path getting into tech. So I'm a big advocate for individual experiences in tech. You do not need to know how to code to start. You do not need to learn how to code for a bit. You do not need to learn how to code until you decide you want to learn how to code. So I will also be talking about my experience so far and what takeaways I've had from that. Also, I want to be able to make this talk as interesting as I can for everyone and as helpful as I can for everyone. So, if there's anything at any point you want me to talk more about, please just put it in the chat. And this presentation in no way is fixed, and I want to be able to help you guys and talk about things you want to hear. So, just let me know. So, when I first started out with technology, before I walked into this exit induction presentation, I didn't really know that I wanted to be in tech. It felt like the last thing in the world that I would want to do because I felt like I didn't have a place because I couldn't code. So I walk into this room and sit for the entire presentation and I think about what really spoke to me in terms of the departments. And I was like, okay, group discussion seems like something I'd be interested in because I'd been doing debate for quite some time. Even the group discussion is not the same as debate, but it had the same principles in my opinion. So I'm I'm so hyped and I say to myself I'm going to be in group discussion and like pitching and get involved with the world of technology without having to code. And at that point of time, I feel like I didn't feel empowered enough to learn either. So I sort of wanted to use the skill sets that I already had to make the experience. So I started out with group discussion. I absolutely loved the department. I think it was so incredible, and I feel like it taught me so much about how to think about technology in a very holistic and multi-perspective manner. Um, I think in the coming world, responsible innovators and people who can really think about the impact of the work that they're having are the kind of people that the world needs. It's not enough just to write programs, right? Or it's unless you're going into academia, but there's different paths. But if you're creating products and if you're creating products that influence the world, then it's not enough to just know how to make them. It's important to know why you're making them, what the motivation behind it is, what impact and negative and positive can they have in the world. So I love GD. I worked on business pitches for the hackathons that we went to because I mean, someone has to pitch it and someone has to be able to sort of put the product out into the world and really think about what benefits it has and sell it to people. Very important. And then, as I progressed in my journey, I kept learning more about tech. Um, from doing Elite, I went to creating Elite and like running it. So that was being able to run that and create the whole like learning documentation was just very cool. Like you were writing and putting together documents for so many different fields, and then through that you sort of learned about how many different areas there are within technology. And I felt empowered to learn by this point because this was 2 years into my experience and I felt like I had a community. So my biggest takeaway from that was um, we need to empower people and you need to empower yourself to learn, to grow, and to be able to develop new skills because I don't think it happens in a vacuum. I think the people that you're around and how you feel about yourself and the field is just an important contributor to how you feel about learning new things within the field. That being said, another takeaway was no skill at all in this world is not fit for tech. Um, it's a very individual experience. It's not linear. So there is no skill that is not going to be useful. Do not think that since you do not have a particular skill that everyone seems to have, that you cannot be a valuable addition to the group or to the field or to the world of technology. These are my main takeaways from my experience of technology so far, and it's still growing, and I love that it's growing, and I want to be able to learn it more. Um, this is just my perspective on what technology is and what the tech world is. It's a way people innovate. There's different ways or different paths that people take within technology later on. These are only some of them. These are the ones that I could list off the top of my head a couple of minutes before the talk. Big tech, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, all of these companies that are big, big names in the tech world. By no means are they the only option. You have startups. Startups are really cool in my opinion. Um, a lot of people, a lot of new people have been working on making their own startups. Some of them are alone, some of them have a co founder, some of them have a really great idea that they're passionate about, some of them have a use case that they're passionate about. Um, it's just very diverse. And honestly, in this world, I feel like anyone can start a startup, being mindful of the fact that different people have different levels of privilege, and it's important to acknowledge that. But it's a great field to sort of look into. And I'm still learning about them. I'm still in the process of learning about them. But if, again, anyone wants to chat about startups or anything later on, I'd be happy to. And then there's also tech law, which is something I considered going into for a bit, which is basically dealing with the law associated with technology. Um, it's really cool, honestly. It's a great field to be in, and it's a growing field to be in. There's obviously research and academia, which are good options as well. I personally have not been interested in research too much, but I know a lot of my friends have, and they love it. They love the process of just like innovating and learning. That being said, none of this is linear. You can jump around. You can come in from outside tech. In fact, in fact, these options that I just listed, they're just directly related with tech. There's so many options that are just like tangentially related with tech, and more that are directly and tangentially related. So it's not linear. Everyone has their own um, path to it, and there are different ways to experience it. I feel that the important skills are the want to learn and empathy. Both of these skills, empathy, because, well, if you're creating a product, you need to be able to empathize with the person that you're creating it for. Because if you're in a space such as technology that's so fastly growing, I think empathy is important to be able to create space for others on the table and to create space for all ideas and all types of people on the table. Um, I feel like half of the part is the technology itself, and then half of it is who you're bringing in, how inclusive you're being. Are you making an active effort to be a part of a community and create larger community? So want to learn and empathy. And I feel like there's enough resources out there that it's possible to learn whenever and wherever you want. Um, Different roles that I've seen so far, there might be more, but these are the ones that I've seen. User experience, user interface, designers, researchers, product managers, program managers, marketing, software engineering, data science, applied sciences, goes on. I mostly covered this. It's not about coding only. I feel like my big sort of objective with this talk was I felt pretty um, out of place in technology at first because I didn't know how to code initially. And I don't really want anyone else to feel the same. I think that there's so many ways. So again, I want to reemphasize that you might have to eventually learn how to code, or if you want to learn how to code, but there's just many other ways that you can get involved with technology in it. It's not linear. It's like the drive to create innovation, it's about empathy, and it's being able to intersect the two with learning. That being said, you can learn how to code, you can learn how to design, you can learn how to be a product manager, you can learn anything you want. The things that I've personally leveraged to learn is online resources, Coursera, um, there's competitive programming websites, there's different websites meant for programming, there's different curriculums, like you can access those. Um, I have personally very highly relied on my community. I have been in women in tech communities for most of my time in high school and college, and being in these communities was just an absolutely incredible experience. I feel like a big part of where I am right now is because of the communities that I was in. Exin, I was in Women Who Code, um, and I'm in a lot of college communities now. But they're just so helpful to your success because there are other people with the same drive as you. They want to be able to create space for other women and other minorities on that table. So being able to find these communities and really invest yourself in them is going to be a very, very helpful facet. Accountability. Find a friend that will hold you accountable. I have these people called accountability buddies um, this summer. And basically, it's me and another friend with a similar objective, and we're holding each other accountable. Like, did you do this? Or do you need any help? Or do you need me to connect you with anyone? But it's useful to have people and have a community that you can sort of fall back on and rely on, as well as your like individual drive to learn. Now that was just my story. I've met so many other people in tech, and everyone has a different story. Again, it's not linear. Someone I know didn't go into technology until he was like 30 years old. He did college, two majors, dropped out, did college again, got into tech at like 30, 35, and then just kept doing it. And now he's a really, really good software engineer. So, it's never too late. Someone I know went to tech because it empowered and changed lives. They had a personal problem that affected them, and they wanted to be able to create a change. And at the time, they realized that technology is a great way to change your life and other people's lives. So they went into tech because they resonated with that idea. Went into tech because they resonated with some specific issue, problem, cause. Um, I think that was me in a bit, but I've met other people as well. And then some people went into tech and decided it was not for them. So they switched out. I think a big misconception that a lot of us have is that everything is a one-way door. It's actually a two-way door. If you don't like it, just leave. It's fine. Like, I don't think, like, you're not signing a contract to be in technology forever. It's a very malleable and personal experience, and you get to choose how you create your experience. These are things that I did to learn. Conveniently, well, I wrote the title three C's and a P before I added network. So now it's three C's, a P, and an N, and an M. That really didn't work out, did it? Okay, so these things I did to learn. I went to competitions. In Exin, we had a lot of hackathons, we had a lot of group discussions. I tried to go to as many of these as possible. My mindset was, okay, how does it matter if I fail? I'm going to learn. And I think that's the most important thing for me. Um, Even if you fail, do it because you're going to learn, and you're going to learn in a way that really you couldn't have learned in before. Coursera or any other courses. There's a lot of free education available online. Capitalize on that. Do as many courses as you can. If you need help, find an accountability buddy or a community that you can fall back on or ask questions. Again, communities. Um, Communities are great. What can I say? Personal projects. I haven't really done a lot of personal projects, but I know a lot of people who do. If you want to create something, just create it. Learn how to create it and create it. I think it's really cool and it's a good motivator as well. Network, network, network. When I say network, I don't mean you should actively, I mean, there's multiple ways to do it. But I feel like my sort of network at this point is people that I've been close friends with for a long period of time. So you don't have to, you can go out with the intention of networking and meet people with the intention of networking. But in my opinion, it works out best when you don't go in with that intention and you just want to be friends with someone, and they are an enormous piece of your network, like 5 years down the line. One of my best friends I met through Exit, and we help each other out every single step of the way. And I didn't meet her because I wanted to network with her. I met her because I thought she was a cool person and I wanted to be friends with her. So that's one way to do it, just like make friends. And then another way to do it is go out with the intention of networking. You can go out and find mentors. You can ask people to mentor you. A lot of people want to mentor people. You can go on LinkedIn or like look at Exit alumni or whoever you want to reach out to. And there's more ways to do it. And as you go along, you're going to discover more ways to do it. These are the communities that I was in. I was in Women Who Code and Technovation when I was in high school. And then when I went into college, I joined Rewriting the Code, Spire, and DTEC, which are Rewriting the Code is like a bigger organization. Spire and DTEC are Duke specific organizations. There's so many more. And if you can't find it, create your own. Anyone in this, I've realized a lot of people in this world are willing to help. Um, I don't have a thank you slide, but this is all I had to say. I'm happy to answer any questions and talk about anything else that any of y'all want me to talk about. How should we find more tech communities to join? This is a question that came in. I think that's a great question. I personally found these tech communities by just word of mouth. Technovation, someone in Exton told me about. Um, Let me go to the last slide real quick. Oops. Okay. Women Who Code was just something I Googled, and it was just the first Google search. But I think a good way to find more tech communities to join is the more communities you join, the more communities you will find. So just start off by either asking around or Googling for one community, join their Slack channel, join their Discord, and then people are going to start talking about more communities there. And you just go there, and then you join and you participate and you like make friends, and it works out. Another way that I've seen people do it, and I did it for a bit, was you go on LinkedIn, you look up people from either like your high school or other sort of things that you're interested in, just look them up. And then in that, you can usually look at their work history and see if they've been a part of any specific community that you like. Um, I can also help connect anyone with the communities that I've been in. So if you, I don't know, but you can reach out to my email at priyanshi.ahuja@duke.edu. And I'd be happy to connect anyone with people that I've met in Technovation and Women in Code. But that's the major way that I've sort of seen it being done. LinkedIn, Googling, and then through these other communities, you find other communities, which is really cool. What is the best professional advice you've ever received while being in the tech industry? That's a great question. I haven't been in the tech industry that long. This is like my first internship, and before that, I wasn't really exposed too much into tech or like to the tech industry. But I would say, I think I already said this in the talk. I didn't plan on doing it, but it resonated with me so much that I already did it. Is that there's two doors to everything. I feel like I personally have the habit of thinking that if I go in, that's what I'm committing myself to. And sometimes that can be scary because you don't know what you like and you don't know what you don't like, and you don't know what the future is going to look like. But someone told me there's two doors to it. I don't know why you're taking this so seriously. And that really hit me because I realized there are two doors to it. If I don't like it, I don't have to continue learning about it. I don't have to continue doing it. It's a choice that I have, and it's an active choice that I make. I can also choose to do two things at the same time. I can make a whole personal project while doing an internship. I can try a startup while doing school. I can try learning about design while learning about software engineering. Like, it's, you know, it's really possible to do what you want. I guess that's what I learned. What can be used to encourage more folks to participate in tech related competitions? Um, so I'm going to assume this question is about what can be used to encourage like other people to participate in tech related competitions. I think something that I observed during my time at Excellent and outside is that giving people a better picture of the situation leads to more clarity, which leads to motivation. So I would say that explain to people what sort of work you're doing in detail. Like, it's important whenever we're talking to someone new not to use any jargon. By jargon, I mean words that only someone in the tech industry might know. So, like, break down everything, make it accessible to them, make them want to learn, and then ask if they don't know a certain term, explain that term, and sort of talk about the opportunities within that tech. But being able to give clarity is very important in my experience. What advice would you like to give to beginners in tech? Um, well, I think the biggest one would just be this entire talk that it's not linear. Like, it's your own journey. You're going to choose what you want to do and the people you want to be around. And I think it's incredibly cool that you can sort of make that choice. Um, Again, this is acknowledging that I do have a certain extent of privilege, and this is acknowledging that privilege. And I understand that everyone has different levels of privilege, but I think for me personally, what worked was just like internalizing the fact that following a certain path that is different from everyone else's doesn't sort of make it less valid. Mm, What was your primary motivation when you started your tech journey? Let me think about this. I think I think my primary motivation wasn't even the tech. I think when I went to this Exin clan induction presentation, I just thought everyone just like was a cool person, and I wanted to be a part of that community, and I wanted to be able to, I don't know, like just be a part of that community because I thought it was a really cool community. And I also liked the idea of group discussion when like I was talking when so this is what I mean by bringing in clarity to referencing my last question. They were doing this like sample group discussion question that gave me clarity on what group discussion is, how people think about it because they walk through it and like they talk through their whole like thinking process. And through that clarity, I was motivated to do more. And I thought that whole thinking process really resonated with me. So I think these two combined were my primary motivation. Hello, can you recommend a website from where I can learn tech? So, well, first of all, I think Exin, or at least in 2020, we made a lot of documentation. I think that's available to everyone. So you can reach out to an Exin Clan member for that documentation. I think that was pretty extensive. And I think I also use that sometimes to learn. Coursera is obviously a good one. And there's a couple of free coding websites that the names are not in my mind right now, but Code Academy. I think one of them was Code Academy, but I think Exin and Coursera is good. What tech field do you think would be easiest for beginners to join? Mm, I don't. I don't think that I can answer this question accurately because I don't think it's about what's easiest. I think it's about what interests you the most. Because I think easy is such a relative term and it depends upon what skills that you have. If you're going into a tech field that uses skills that you have or you want to learn, it's easier than going into a tech field that uses skills that you don't want to learn. And the skills that you want to learn sort of differ by every single person. So I guess there's no like objective answer to easy and hard. Um, I think the best thing that I would say is identify skills and strengths that you have and identify um, what you want to learn and then see which sort of field intersects with that most. Considering the exponential expansion of the tech community, do you feel like we actually need so many more people here? I love this question. Um, that's a great question. Two things. I feel like I was thinking about this yesterday in the car actually. I feel like and I'm pretty sure a lot of the people I'm around are in a bubble where we live and breathe around so many other people in technology that we forget that there's a whole world out there that does not have access to these resources. I think that it's easy to feel like your experiences are the true experiences or like the world's wide experiences. And I think it's important to constantly remind yourself that there are so many people out there who probably don't have the same resources that you have, or probably don't have the same exposure that you have. And they don't have access to this technology. It might feel like we're exponentially growing, but they're not. And we need to be able to help them to grow. We need to be able to find communities and contribute to communities and be able to create our own communities and even mentor people one on one to help them. Um, I also feel that there is not the right proportion of people in this field. I feel that there are multiple sections of society that are not represented well enough, which is concerning because these technologists are the people creating our future. So these two factors, I think, help me acknowledge that I have a certain privilege that other people don't have, and I need to be able to put myself in a position where I can ask for their needs and then help them in whatever way possible. So I think we need a better proportion of people. What are some of the mistakes that you would want others to avoid while beginning your tech journey? Um, don't think that don't think that like you're not as good as everyone else just because you're not following the same path as them. I feel like I keep repeating this, but I want to be like it's something that affected me a lot, and I want to be able to sort of share with other people that you are so valid and you are as valid as anyone else, and you can learn whatever you want to learn. You can contribute in whatever way that you want to contribute, and in no way does that make you less than anyone else. Um, in high school, I felt like it was so easy to feel like there was a certain correct way to do it. But I feel like the more I've grown, the more I've realized that there's so many employers and there's so many people out there in the world who value different things. And your experiences, your interests are very valid, and it's important to acknowledge that they can also change. The more you learn, the more you'll know about yourself, and the more they will change. And it's important to be able to accept that change and embrace it rather than fight against it or put a label on yourself that I am X. Well, we're just growing, so X can be anything. And I think that's the whole point of learning. Like you grow and you change what you want to learn. I also think another mistake I made was having to feel like I have to prove myself to the people I'm around or to the communities that I was joining. Communities are there to help you. People around you are there to help you, and you're there to help them. So don't feel like you have to prove yourself to anyone. I also think that not being proactive about these resources and competitions was something I would change if I could go back. I would be more proactive about it. I would have more confidence in myself to try them earlier rather than wait for someone else to ask me to try them. So it's just taking more charge of my journey. What helped in inclining your interest towards tech law? I love this question. Um, sorry, give me 1 second. Um, I think it started off with just like a deep love for debate. I loved sort of the thought process behind debate, and through that I got into GD, group discussion. And the more group discussion that I was exposed to, most of the questions, well, not most, but a lot of the questions were aligned around tech law. And I love the sort of thinking aspects that came with it. And I thought it was a field that, at the point, I felt like a lot of people were not going into. And I felt like I had unique skills that could help contribute to that field. Um, so I'm not sure if tech law is something I'm doing right now, but it was something I was considering. And I also met this really cool person doing tech law, and I thought that I had a chat with her, and I thought she was doing incredible work. So a lot of these factors combined to help my interests grow in tech law, but I really, really like it a lot. How do you try to keep your tech skills up to date? I think it's three faceted, multifaceted. But the first is through the communities I joined. People talk about it there, so you just automatically are in that space, and then you learn about it as more people talk about it. Um, and I also think that just keep reading, find news sources that you particularly like, and stick to them. Um, like just a little habit every morning or whenever you want, just read up on them. Um, I think I also there was one point when I used to go through Coursera a lot. I don't really find the time to do that enough now, but that was something I used to do. Um, Something I also recently discovered was docs.microsoft.com, and it's a really useful resource to sort of keep my tech skills up to date. What do you think are the most exciting upcoming areas in tech right now? Well, I think I'd be able to make an educated guess because, again, this is going to be my opinion. And I also don't think that I have enough experience in tech because I'm still growing as a person and I'm still growing as someone interested in tech. And I'm going to keep growing. But I think personally, um, well, two things. I would say the first is space tech. I feel like the privatized space industry is growing pretty rapidly, and the tech being used in that is also growing rapidly and is becoming more specialized. I also think that with the whole um, Web3 crypto trend right now and how the economy is changing, I think that's something that's pretty popular and upcoming. And I think along with that, tech law is going to also grow. But these are only some things that I've thought of. There's probably more things that I haven't thought of, but it's just an opinion. What is an appropriate time to give in a certain field before switching into another one while discovering your expertise? Um, hmm. I I think that that's a very individual experience. I also think that, again, I want to make it clear that like no way do I know everything there is to know about technology. I just know a certain amount, and I'm still learning. So all of my answers are based on acknowledging that I'm still learning and I know a certain amount, and that I was in a place of privilege to be able to know that certain amount. But in my opinion, an appropriate time to give a certain field before switching into another one is when you sort of feel like that field doesn't speak to you anymore. If you don't feel good learning about it, I guess. If you don't feel like there is more that you want to learn about it, I think that's a pretty good indicator that it's time to head out. But for me, like in terms of actual time frames, it's ranged from like a week to 5 months. Like it's just very different every single time. A week to 5 months. It's just very different, I guess. And then there's some fields in tech that I've been interested in for 3 years. So it's not going to be the same every time, but it's important to listen to yourself to be able to figure out what that time is. A lot of these communities, example girls who code, can only be participated in online as they are physically based abroad. Would there happen to be ones that are active in India? Oh, I love this question. Um, I wasn't in. Well, Exon is a great one, honestly. First of all, I love Exon. I think Exon is one of the coolest things that happened to me, and I absolutely love Exon. I have nothing but love in my heart for it. But try to get involved with the Exon community. Amazing space, amazing people. They're just like they help you so much. They're incredible people. And so that's a physical one. I wasn't in any other physical communities, so I would not know. But I know I was on the like board of the Girl Code for a bit, which is based in India. So I was, and we had like a couple of physical workshops. Um, and I think that's one. But again, I don't really think I'm best suited for to answer this question because I wasn't in a lot of in-person communities. But Exin, I mean, even if you're not an Exin, I just think just try talking to people in Exin. They're just really cool. But that's just me being biased because I absolutely love accent. So, who do you think was an influential figure in your tech journey? I have a lot. I will list some of the ones that I feel like y'all would have context about. I think Mukesh sir was a big one. I think he motivated me during times when I really did not feel that motivated. Um, and he was a big supporter, or he is a big supporter of women in tech. And I still keep in touch with him. And I think Mukesh sir was just like a very important person that just like pushed me towards tech. Um, I think the friends that I made in Exon were very, very, very influential. I, I still think like these people are some of the most helpful people and like really cool people that I've met. So those are two that I think you guys would have context about and are really influential. In college, there's the DTech leader. She is so helpful and so ready to share her knowledge. I also try to go to a lot of talks whenever possible. And I love those talks because you meet new people and you're listening in these spaces. And then I usually think about what is it about that person's talk that spoke to me, and then I reach out to them on LinkedIn and I say, "Hey, I really loved listening to your talk about this, this, this. This spoke out to me in particular. I would love to connect with you to learn more about something." If you have an action item in there with a personalized invite, usually people accept it because people love sharing their experience from what I've sort of experienced. So I think that's something that's really cool. And I think that just try to find people who are interested in the same stuff as you. they will be big pillars in your tech journey, and go to as many talks as you can. And if you can't find people around you, or if you're not in a position to do that, or if you're not in a position to sort of join these communities that I was talking about, or find people around you, because I totally understand that that's not something that everyone can do at every point of time. Just like use the internet to find people, use LinkedIn, use maybe like look up your school's alumni, or in whatever way that you can access these talks or information. How do you think these minority communities can be encouraged to participate more in the tech industry? Um, Again, I want to say I'm not an expert at this. I will answer based on the work that I've done in this field so far. And I think by this point, I've been working in this field for a long time, so all my opinions are blurred. So I will try to do the best I can to answer. Sorry, it's like 7:30 a.m. here, and my throat gets very dry. But I think one of them is obviously like if there's more people that look like you, that sort of that you can relate with, I think the more motivation you have to be in that space. I think that's very important. Just like it's a self fulfilling cycle in a way that if you encourage some people to join, more people will join. So I think it's important to sort of make that push for the first some people to join. I think it's about active mentorship, and it's in early stages. So active mentorship in early stages, middle school girls, high school girls, when they're still figuring out their path. It's very easy to it's very easy to feel like you have to be pigeonholed into something. That is not true. So actively reaching out to these minorities and showing them that it's not like it's possible to join at this point. It's not too late. It's possible to do what you like, and create communities for them where they can sort of talk to other people that they can relate with. I remember something that I did when I was in India was we had like an in-person workshop, and it was all of these girls, and they were just put in one room, and they innovated so much during that time because they were able to talk to each other. They were able to sort of let go of the whole pressure to perform, I guess. So I think that was really helpful at the time. I also think that providing, I think that a big part of it is the information gap. So closing that information gap by providing very accessible, non jargon, explanatory resources to these people, and providing the support and mentorship they require to ask questions or for accountability, whatever their needs are. And then also, I think a lot of it is asking what people need. This is acknowledging that people might not know what they need because everyone's new, but being able to sort of ask them questions so that you can determine how they want to be supported. So overlooked and so important. And then I also think that um, personally for me, competitions that were like meant for girls helped me a lot because I felt like there was a purpose to me being there, and there was an intention to me being there. So finding these competitions and trying to get people to participate in them, invaluable. But I think it's mostly about being able to provide education and being able to act as supporters and warriors and people who will stand behind these minorities whenever they want is essential. But again, that's just my opinion. It's probably not even the it's probably not like an objectively correct answer. I don't think there is an objectively correct answer. But the more you empower these people and the more you focus on their success, the more you learn personally, and the more you can just create positive change. Like, it's not only about putting yourself in a place of either mentorship or mentoring. I think it's both at the same time. I feel everyone is a mentor and a mentee at the same time, and you will learn a lot by being there for these communities and being there as advocates and voices and supporters of these communities. I cannot emphasize how important it is to be those advocates and to be those voices, because a lot of people feel like they do not have the voice. A lot of people need that support and a lot of people need that holding hand. So, whatever you can do to help these people, to help create positive change, to help create more space on the table for everyone, it's it's incredible. Like, I feel like every moment of time, there are actions that you can take that will positively impact a lot of people's lives. So, what I do is at any moment, I try to think, okay, what are actions that I can take today that will possibly impact someone's life in the future? What are words that I can say? What is a resource that I can provide? Or how can I help people so that later on they're going into tech, they're majoring in CS, they're studying computer science? Anyway, that's my crux of it. Do you think we should expand our fields, like stretch rubber bands, or focus on very few skills? Spreading myself thin has been one of my problems, so I would love some advice here. I love that question. Um, I think it depends on what your goals are. I feel like if your goal is to get really good at one thing, and if you really think that you found your calling, go deep into it. But if you're like, hey, I like this, but I don't know if I like this enough, or I think I might like this more, you know, stretch yourself out. See if you like other things. Again, it depends upon your goals and what your final objective is, and you just work backwards from there. Excuse me. Um, but sounds like over here you already think that you're spreading yourself too thin. So why don't you try focusing on a few skills at a time and seeing if that makes you fulfilled? I think it's just there's no objectively correct answer. It's just a little game of ping pong. You try one thing, it works. Great. If it doesn't work, you throw the ball back, you try another thing. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you throw the ball back, you try another thing. Um, yeah, I think you just gotta listen to yourself and you gotta really think what is it that I want to learn in this very moment? What is it that I want to learn? What is it I want to achieve a week from now, a year from now, a month from now, and see how those align. And I'm pretty sure if you like align all of them, you can figure out, what is it in this moment that you want to do. But yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say. Are there more questions? Ashok. Hello, Ashok. Oh, thank you, Shireen.
Thank you so much, Priyanshi, for joining us today and giving us such an enriching talk. I hope everyone who joined us enjoyed the session. We'll be ending here today. Thank you to everyone who joined.
Bye. And again, please feel free to reach out if you ever want to talk. I'm always here to help in whatever way I can.